This time on Plain Science, we're going to look at stability, lateral stability. So this is the stability like that, and also in yaw. So yaw is the motion left to right as though you're driving a car. Roll is the one we're interested in as well, which is when the aircraft moves like that. The final one obviously is pitch that we looked at last time, which is where the centre of gravity is, and pitch is where we move up and down. So that's the three axes of rotation. And we're going to look at how to make things stable, high wing and low wing, and also I'm going to dispel a common myth. So we'll start off with a high wing aircraft. So something like a Cessna, and the high wing aircraft has the wings on the top. So let's imagine my head is the aeroplane, and then we've got the wings on the top, and then what we want is for it to be stable in roll. And we look at it, and this is what I was always taught, and it's in a lot of books, is that my head acts like a pendulum. So as the thing tilts, my head is weight on the bottom, and it will cause it to tilt back again like a pendulum. Strangely enough, things get more complicated. When you actually look at the physics, that's not true. So let's start off by drawing a picture of what we've got. We've got an aeroplane. There's its wings, and there is its body. It's a very square aeroplane, and somewhere in the middle there is the centre of gravity. I'll do it as a blob because my pen's too big. And then we've got weight acting down through the centre of gravity, and then we've got lift from each wing acting upwards. Now the first thing we can do to make things simple is to combine those two lift forces into one. And doing that makes the whole thing a little bit more simple. Now let's think about what happens when the aeroplane goes over this fictional bump in the sky again. And generally speaking, in lateral stability, we're thinking about what happens when it bumps the aeroplane sideways like that. And you can see the weight is acting through the centre of gravity downwards, and the lift is acting up through the wings upwards. Now both of them are passing through the centre of gravity. And in order to make the thing turn, you need something which is a little distance from the centre of gravity. And if I apply a force directly in line with the centre of gravity, what it's going to do is move the centre of gravity. It's not going to rotate it. There's no rotation. You have to have a distance so that you can rotate it. We don't have that here. We do have, obviously, as the aeroplane's tilted, we have some of the lift going upwards and some of it going sideways, but we don't have a distance from the centre of gravity. So with some of the lift going upwards and some of it going sideways, each one is now smaller. You can resolve that into two vectors, one going up, one going sideways, but both of them are smaller. So the aeroplane is going to start to descend slightly, and it's also going to be pushed this way somewhat. So with the aeroplane sliding sideways now, what we've got is air resistance against the aeroplane. And because the centre of gravity is quite low, that means most of the air resistance is going to be pushing against the top of the aeroplane, where the wings and the body are. And that is the force that starts to push it back upright as well. There are other effects on top of that. Obviously, because there's a body there, the wind starts to kind of pile up under the body in that gap, and you tend to get an increased pressure there. And likewise, the body gets in the way of this wing, and you start to get a lower pressure there, so it probably tends to sink a little bit. So the two are combined, but there is no pendulum effect. And that's weird, because that's what I was always taught. But of course there are problems with having the wings on the top, and the primary one is that you can't see where you're going. So when you turn, you're looking straight at the wing instead of what you need to see, which is what's coming the other way. So let's flip this over. Okay, so we've got the things reversed now. So this time we've got the weight much higher up, as you can see. So the weight higher up, and let's do the same sort of thing. We get a bit of a bump in the air, which causes the aeroplane to tilt, and again we're going to end it with a force that's coming this way, and it's going to make the thing start to slip sideways. As it starts to slip sideways, again you can see there's air resistance, but this time, because the centre of gravity is much higher, the air resistance is coming underneath, so it's tending to rotate it in the direction that it's coming in. So in other words, it starts to tilt like this, starts to drift, air resistance comes along, increases that angle, starts to drift even further. That is the classic sort of instability, the sort of instability that we saw in the longitudinal case when we had the central of gravity in the wrong place. That's clearly not going to work very well, so we're going to have to find a way to fix that. And the way around that is to use something called dihedral. Now this wing's got it. You can see how the wings tilt upwards at both ends just by a slight amount, and that is what stabilizes it in roll. Now dihedral is a bit more difficult to understand conceptually, so I've cunningly fashioned a pair of wings from, you wouldn't believe it, but it's from a piece of cardboard. So imagine, let's take it to ridiculous extremes. No aeroplane looks like this, but this helps to sort of explain it. First of all, let's assume the airplane's gone over that bump in the sky again, and it's caused it to poof over like that. Now the net forces that we've got here, you can see there's a big force coming off this wing and a big one coming off this wing. If it bumps around to here, the net result is that it's going to slip sideways. So the first thing that happens, it goes over a bump, the airplane starts to slip sideways. Now, when it's slipping sideways, the air, imagine it's flying along, so it's slipping sideways, the air, because it's slipping sideways, is now cutting across the front of this wing in this direction. So it's increasing the angle of attack. You see what it's doing there? Increasing the angle of attack. At the same time, because this one's now up in the air, it's blowing down across this one, so it's reducing the angle of attack just by that sideways motion. Now, increased angle of attack is going to give us an increased lift. Reduced angle of attack is going to give us reduced lift, so it's going to tilt the aeroplane back again. And the same the other way, if it starts to slip sideways again, you get an increased angle of attack here, reduced angle of attack here, because the wind's blowing from this side, causes it to come back again. And that gives you stability using dihedral. And as I said earlier on, real dihedral, if I come right back, is a lot less. It's just a few degrees, but that's enough to do that. Because we're talking about a few degrees movement in pitch, in angle of attack, makes a big difference. Let's move on now to stability in yaw. Yaw is when you're steering left and right as if you're driving a car. So let's get rid of that and let's draw something new. So let's draw an aeroplane. This time we're looking down from the top. This is not going to be a good drawing. Okay, there we are. There's an aeroplane looking down from the top. So there's the wings, like that. It looks a bit like an aeroplane. Let's pour a tail on it as well. There we go. Now, stability in yaw. Let's think about what's happening. First of all, you've got air coming this way, and let's assume we go over that bump in the sky again. So once it's gone over that bump in the air, you get that pivot again, so we're inducing some side slip. And you can see straight away that the air coming in is starting to hit the back of the body. It's starting to hit the sides of the body, and that's going to cause a force which is tending to push it back again. So that's relatively easy. A standard configuration aeroplane is going to be fairly stable in the first place. However, we probably want it to be a little bit more stable than that. Various reasons which I'll come on to in some later videos, but we probably want to do some more. And the way we do that is by sticking a tail on the aeroplane. And all we do is plop a tail on there. It's difficult to see because we're looking down on it. But the tail, standard fin, as you get on an aeroplane, and that's going to give us even more even more push. So as we pivot, the tail is going to catch a lot of air and it's going to pivot us back again so that we're stable in yaw. And just for a thought experiment, let's think about what happens if we're flying backwards. So let's flip it over and then think about what's happening when we're flying backwards. And when we're flying backwards, we go over that bump in the air again, and this time you can see the forces on the tail are actually starting to push us the wrong way. They're starting to push us so that we get more and more yaw. And as that happens, we get more and more force on the tail and more yaw, and so on, and we start to flip around. I mention that one really because if we look at that aeroplane flying backwards, does it remind you of anything? So there we are. We looked at static stability in the three axes. That's roll, pitch and yaw. Remember, roll like that. Pitch is where the aeroplane pitches up and down, and yaw is like driving a car left and right. That's all well and good having an aeroplane that flies and that's stable, but But the big thing is that we want to be able to control it. We want it to be able to go where we want it to go and not where it wants to go. So that means we're going to have to be able to control it with control surfaces. And that's going to be the subject of the next video. So hopefully this one was useful. Click subscribe if you want to see the rest of the series. And maybe I'll see you next time.